This is the first of two short flows to really get into the inner thighs, the hips, the hamstrings. Remember to do a warm-up first, so a few sun salutations or whatever you feel like doing, but really focusing on the hips and thighs and the lower back. When you're warm, when you're ready, we'll start the sequence, taking about 10 breaths in each pose to really let the stretch develop. So coming up first into a side lunge with the right foot pointing straight out, left foot turned in. Just let your hips settle down over the left heel. Really send your bottom back. Use the hands maybe to open the left knee. A little bit of pressure on the inside of the right thigh, the inner thigh, just to really let that stretch develop. A little lift in the heart just to flatten the back, and maybe draw the chin up if that feels comfortable. And take 10 breaths. Don't forget you can move around and adjust. If it doesn't feel good, make it feel good. 5 more breaths. And coming up when you're ready for the other side. So turning the right foot in, left foot out. Settle the hips over the opposite heel. And really let that stretch develop. 10 breaths. When you're ready, coming back up, turning the toes in slightly, and then coming into a nice wide squat. So adjust it so it feels comfortable. We're not trying to come all the way down, just trying to find a squat where we can feel we can send the weight down through the sit bones. Draw the belly in, lift the heart, just let the weight settle, 10 breaths. Maybe you can sink a little deeper as you start to relax into it. Maybe not. Awesome. Coming out into butterfly pose. So come down onto the mat. Soles of the feet together. Just let the knees roll out like butterflies' wings as much as they will. You can put some pressure on the knees, and if it's not comfortable sitting with a straight back, maybe sit on a block. Put a little bit of pressure in the knees. A little tension in the buttocks helps to open, switch off the inner thighs. 5 breaths. And then either taking another 5 breaths here, or maybe taking the big toes and just allowing your upper body to come forwards a little to really find the inner thighs for the next 5 breaths. Coming around into a figure 4 stretch. So in the middle of the mat, leave the left heel down, bring the right ankle onto the left knee, and then bring your hands around the knee. Let your shoulders relax. And take 10 breaths, just drawing the knee closer to you with each breath. Flex the foot. And then coming up for the other side. Change the legs over, flex that top foot just to protect that lifted knee. 10 more breaths, just drawing the knee ever closer with each breath. Maybe noticing the difference in the two sides. If it feels nice, give yourself a little rock just into the low back and the top of the hips. But always drawing that knee closer to you. And after 10 breaths, extend the left leg. Bring the right knee all the way up into your chest. We'll draw some knee circles. Let's draw 10 knee circles, just taking your time, really feeling into the hips. So bring the knee up into the chest. And then let your right hand guide the knee out to the side, just as far as it will go. So maybe it won't come flat. Doesn't matter. Try to keep the left hip down. Think about opening the inner thigh. And then complete it by drawing a circle all the way over and bring the knee back into the chest. 10 times. If you find a place that feels stuck or feels like it needs a longer stretch, then just hold there a little bit longer. That's 3. 5. If you're doing them more quickly, if it feels really easy, then just take a couple more. So that's taking the time just to let the hip relax. Now I've lost count, so I'm going to call this 10. All the way back up into the chest to finish. And then coming to the other side. So bring the knee all the way up to begin with. Try to let everything soften. And knee circles on the left. If it helps sometimes just to counterbalance with the right hand, you can take the right hand out to the side. And again, just find those places that might feel a little bit stuck. Pause there. Really explore the joint. And I've lost count again, my mind's wandered off, so maybe this is 5. Last couple. Just keeping an eye on that right hip to make sure it doesn't lift. And that's 10. Good. Bring both knees up into the chest. Give them both a squeeze. Maybe a little rock if it feels good. And then we're coming up into a nice deep happy baby now that the hips are nice and loose. So you can take the big toes, or maybe if you prefer, take the outside of the feet. Focus on trying to get the feet wide and the knees as close to the floor or to the armpits, whichever makes sense to you, as you can. Let your shoulders soften. And try to send the sit bones back down to the floor because they're going to curl up. Breathe into the belly and try to relax. 10 breaths. Relax the shoulders. 5 breaths. And then bring the soles of the feet together and let them just settle down in front of your bottom. Nice wide butterfly, reclined butterfly, the arms roll out. And try to let the hips relax a little now. Just a couple more breaths here. And I'm going to come up into a lizard lunge with the left foot forward. So coming up when you're ready. So right knee down, left knee forwards, and just squeeze the hips forwards. So a nice easy lizard lunge. Let it develop. A little tuck in the pelvis if you can. 5 breaths. On the second 5, either bring the hands down or stay lifted as you are. But if you're bringing the hands down, just let the hips settle even further forwards. Maybe walk the hands forward a little. Just really let that stretch on the left-hand side develop. And then backing out of it and coming up into another side lunge, but this time going really much deeper. So use your hands to support you as you settle, just to let your buttocks settle down over the knee, over the heel. Use your hands to brace, really find the hamstrings on that extended leg. You can flex the foot if you like. Use your arm as a brace for the bent knee. Just persuade it out to the side. Just give it a little push out to the side. Reach the heart forwards, nice flat spine. And just 5 more breaths. Play around with it, see what feels good. Great. Coming out of it, back into another lizard lunge on the other side. So right foot forward, send the hips forward, little tuck in the pelvis if it feels good. Just let it develop. Maybe the stretch feels different on this side. And second 5 breaths, either staying high, bring the hands down, and really let the hips come forwards. Maybe walk the hands forwards a little. Trying to keep the heel down if you can. And coming out of it to take that nice deep lunge on the other side. Take your time to get into it. Use your hands to help you. Maybe persuade that knee out a little bit if it feels good. Five more breaths. And coming out of it into one of those poses that's a bit Marmite. Some people love it, some people hate it. Coming up into frog pose. So it's probably easier to do this sideways on the mat, but just for the video, I'm going to come a long ways on the mat. Take the knees as wide as they'll go, comfortably with the inner thighs. You can either let the toes come together or perhaps let the shins stay parallel if that's comfortable. Just slowly start to work your way down. Try not to let the hips come too far forwards. Just work your way down. It'll take a little longer here, maybe 15 breaths if it's comfortable. If it starts to feel too much, and just ease out of it. And then for the last 5, just really push the hips back a little bit. Maybe a little bounce is good. Just gently squeeze back to really find the inner thighs. And gently as you come out of it, just bring the knees back underneath you, one at a time. Almost there. So the last pose, legs up the wall, Viparita Karani. It's a really nice restful pose that lets the inner thighs open. It's not the most elegant pose in the world to get into. You need to get your bottom right up against the wall. So lying on your side, get your bottom right up against the wall, and then roll around so you're lying on your back, but your buttocks are pushed right up against the wall. And then at the feet, walk themselves out wide as you feel they'll go. Adjust them as much as you want to. Flex the feet, push the heels away, and let your upper body relax. If it feels uncomfortable in the upper back, the lower back, maybe just put a blanket or something underneath the lower back just to soften it a little bit. So I'm going to take 20 breaths here. It's a really nice restorative pose. If you really want to challenge yourself, maybe just use a little bit of pressure on the inner thighs to open slightly wider. When you're ready, soften the knees, maybe push the wall away to help. Just bring the feet back in towards you, bring the knees into your chest. We're going to come up for a second time. Just really bring the knees into the chest, give them a little rock. Let the inner thighs relax a little. And then when you're ready, finishing the sequence, we send the legs back out. Adjust them as much as you feel you can comfortably, and take another 20 breaths here. So this is our final pose. You can stay here as long as you like. We'll take 20 breaths and then come into any pose you like. Sometimes it's nice just to roll the legs down and curl up in a fetal position for a few breaths. Take your time. Enjoy the stretch and relax. So take your time. If you're not ready to come out of it just yet, then allow yourself to stay there a little longer. If you're ready to come out, the easiest way is just to bring the knees up into your chest and roll onto your side. Take a few moments to relax. And then elegantly bring yourself back up. Thank you for joining me. Look out for part 2 of the hip stretch coming soon. Namaste.